Hey there, Trailblazers, I hope you guys are all doing well. So, just a few hours ago, we have finally received the full kit and abilities for all 3 of the upcoming version 3.0 characters. So in this video, we are going to go over the full kit, Lightcone, and also Eidolons for the first phase limited character, which is of course none other than Madame HERTA herself. In upcoming videos, I'll also go over the full kit for the second phase limited character Aglia, and also the new remembrance path for the Trailblazer. So stay tuned for those videos by subscribing to this channel. But before we begin, let me ask you a question. So, do you want to pull for cool new characters like Sunday and Fugue, but you find in-game prices too expensive? Well, fear not. Lootbar GG is the best top-up platform for all your gacha spending needs and provides a huge 20% discount compared to the in-game prices. Lootbar supports many big games, which includes Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, and even Zenless Zone Zero. Let's try to buy the 3281 Shard pack for $40.48, which costs about $50 in-game for comparison. All I have to do is enter my server and UID, and my purchase will be sent to my in-game account. After just waiting under a minute, I received my Shard pack top-up. Lootbar also has tons of positive reviews and cooperates directly with official Hoyoverse routing partners, making it very safe and secure. Just click on my link in the description or in the pinned comment to get an additional 8% discount today. Putting the sponsor aside, let's now begin with the actual video without wasting any more of your time. Starting with HERTA's base stats. She has a base HP of 1164, base attack of 679, base defense of 486, and base speed of 99. Besides the base speed, which is on the slower side, her other stats are overall pretty average to say the least. Now moving over to her actual kit. Let's first start with her basic attack, Wake Me Up When Slumber Ends, which deals ice damage equal to 130% of HERTA's attack to one designated enemy target. The basic attack is a pretty unimportant part of her kit, so not really worth talking about. But where things get interesting is her skill called Big Brain Energy. Using this skill deals ice damage equal to 87% of HERTA's attack to one designated enemy, and additionally inflicts 1 stacks of interpretation. It then deals ice damage equal to 87% of HERTA's attack to the target that has been hit by this instance of the skill and any adjacent targets to the enemy. This effect can repeat 2 times. Basically, this skill first deals damage equal to 87% of HERTA's attack to a single enemy, and also applies 1 stack of an effect called Interpretation, which we will go into more detail on when we talk about her talent. It then deals another instance of damage with the same multiplier to the main target that has been hit by the first instance of the skill and any enemies adjacent to it. This second instance of damage can be triggered up to 2 times. Moving over to HERTA's ultimate called Told Ya, Magic Happens, which has a huge energy cost of 220. As for the effect, it rearranges the number of interpretation stacks on all enemies, prioritizing the transfer of the highest number of interpretation stacks to elite level targets and above, and then deals ice damage equal to 250% of HERTA's attack to all enemies. Furthermore, when using the ultimate, it increases HERTA's attack by 80%, lasting for 2 turns. Additionally, after using the ultimate, HERTA immediately takes action and gains 1 stack of Inspiration. Inspiration can stack up to 2 times. When holding Inspiration, HERTA's normal skill is replaced with a new enhanced version of her skill. Basically, activating this ultimate transfers all existing stacks of Interpretation to the highest priority target on the field, such as elite or boss level enemy. It then buffs HERTA's attack by 80%, and then deals 250% damage to all enemies present on the field. After using the ultimate, HERTA gains 2 charges of the more powerful enhanced version of her skill. Speaking of the enhanced skill, it is called Hear Me Out. Using it consumes 1 stack of Inspiration, and then deals damage equal to 100% of HERTA's attack to one designated enemy, and inflicts 1 stacks of Interpretation on them. It then deals a second instance of damage equal to 100% of HERTA's attack to the target that has been hit by the first instance of the skill and any adjacent enemies. This instance can trigger up to 2 times. Finally, it then deals damage equal to 50% of HERTA's attack to all enemy targets present on the field. The enhanced skill works pretty much the same way as the normal version of the skill, but just with a much higher multiplier and a final hitting AoE attack that deals 50% damage to all enemies present on the field. Now, let's go over the most important part of HERTA's kit, which is her talent called Hear Me Out, which states that when enemy targets enter battle, HERTA inflicts 1 stack of interpretation on them. When the enhanced skill's primary target has interpretation, the multiplier for the damage dealt increases, with each stack granting an increase of 10% and 6.2% on the primary and other targets respectively, stacking up to 42 times. Furthermore, when at least 2 characters follow the path of erudition in the team, each stack grants an additional increase of 10% and 6.2% on the primary and other targets respectively. When you use HERTA's enhanced skill, it resets the number of interpretation stacks on the ability's target to 1. After the enemy target leaves the battle or gets defeated by any unit, interpretation will be transferred, prioritizing the transfer to elite level targets and above. HERTA's interpretation stacks work pretty similarly to the Arcana stacks from Black Swan's talent. Similar to Black Swan's Arcana stacks, they grant a damage multiplier increase to the inflicted target with a very high stacking effect of 42 times. However, instead of them resetting whenever the enemy takes wind DOT damage like Arcana stacks, HERTA's interpretation stacks only reset back to 1 when she uses her enhanced skill. Additionally, if you have 2 other erudition characters in the party, the damage multiplier granted by each interpretation stack on both the main target and adjacent enemies can be doubled. Moving over to HERTA's technique called Vibe Check. After using the technique, increases HERTA's attack by 40% at the start of the next battle, lasting for 2 turns. And at the start of each wave inflicts 4 interpretation stacks on all enemies. If there are any basic treasures in the current map, using the technique will mark the locations of up to 3 basic treasures. After entering battle by using technique in Simulated Universe or Divergent Universe, deals true damage equal to 99% of the target's max HP to enemy targets lower than elite level, and deals true damage equal to 30% of the target's max HP to enemy targets at elite level and above. This technique gives HERTA a nice attack buff, and also inflicts 4 stacks of interpretation on all new enemy waves. Additionally, it also has pretty good exploration abilities such as marking treasure chests in the overworld, and is also helpful in clearing weaker groups of enemies and elite mobs in both Simulated and Divergent Universe, which is honestly pretty nice. Now, let's go over HERTA's traces. Trace 1, when ally targets attack, inflicts 1 stack of interpretation on the hit enemy target. After attacking, for every 1 target hit by this attack, regenerates a fixed 3 energy for HERTA, counting up to a maximum of 5 targets. This is a pretty useful trace, as it not only lets other allies in the team help stack interpretation on the enemies, but attacking enemies can restore up to 12 points of energy for HERTA. This greatly helps in lowering the requirements to charge her very high 220 energy cost ultimate. Trace 2, when entering battle, if the team has no fewer than 2 characters following the path of erudition, increases all allies' crit damage by 80%. After attacking, applies 1 stacks of interpretation to the target that has the highest existing stacks of interpretation among the hit enemy targets. This basically just gives a free permanent 80% crit damage buff to all party members if you run HERTA with a second erudition character. And additionally, by attacking any enemy, it helps building interpretation stacks even easier by giving 1 extra stack to the enemy on the field with the highest number of stacks. Trace 3, for every 1 stack of interpretation inflicted on enemy targets, HERTA increases her ultimate's damage multiplier by 1%, stacking up to 99 times. With this 3rd trace, interpretation stacks now additionally increase HERTA's ultimate multiplier by 1% per stack. So, theoretically, if you manage to get all 99 stacks, you can gain an ultimate damage multiplier of up to a whopping 99%. So that's pretty much all of HERTA's base kit. Next, let's go over her signature Lightcone called into the Unreachable Veil. Effect Mind Game. Increases wearer's crit rate by 12%. When the wearer uses their ultimate, increases skill and ultimate damage by 48%, lasting for 3 turns. After the wearer uses their ultimate, if this ultimate consumes 140 or more energy, recovers 1 skill point. This effect can trigger a maximum of 1 time every 2 turns. This is actually a pretty universal Lightcone. Assuming it doesn't get nerfed later on to only work with HERTA, it can work pretty well with other units with high energy costs like Argeni that can benefit from the Lightcone's ultimate buff, and can easily activate the second effect of the Lightcone due to his high 180 energy cost. And finally, let's now go over HERTA's Eidolons. E1. When enhanced skill calculates the number of interpretation stacks, additionally counts 30% of the number of interpretation stacks on the 2 targets with the highest stacks among the skill's target and adjacent enemies. E2. After an ally attacks, applies 1 stacks of interpretation to the target that has the highest interpretation stacks among the hit enemy targets. When an enemy target gets inflicted with interpretation, and if their number of stacks reach 42, HERTA gains 1 stack of inspiration. This effect can only trigger once per enemy. E4. The speed of characters following the path of erudition increases by 10%. E6. With HERTA's first trace, each stack additionally increases ultimate's damage by 4%, up to a max additional increase of 396%. So that's basically all the information we have about HERTA's full kit. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep yourself up to date with all the latest HSR news and information. That's it for now, so I'll see you in the next video.